Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So, Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, 78 Life Lessons to Ace Your Life. Life Lesson 52, page 180 of the book in printed form. Love takes courage to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable. But if you want to get the girl of your dreams, the one who will love you forever, understand you the most, even on your darkest days, and be an emotional rock of support for you, that's what you need to do. Life lesson 53. Ask yourself, who do you want to be with you at your deathbed when you die? If you could only pick one person, who would that be? Unfortunately, many guys don't see the value of a good woman. That's not because the woman isn't of good value. It's because they are living an inauthentic life and they aren't thinking ahead of what it will be like when their parents and family members aren't around, and when most of their friends are married with kids of their own and they don't come out to play anymore, or at least not that often. They also don't know how to have an adult and mature relationship, even if they're young or older, because they haven't been taught to value themselves or they felt undervalued. Then they pass that on to someone else, that feeling of not being worth it. But if only they would picture what they truly want and go for what they want and nurture it and love it and appreciate it and never take it for granted and be willing to change, to develop more healthy forms of communication and ways of being, if only. But we cannot work with if only. We have to work with what we have right now in front of us and who that person is in the now. And if they're not consistently brave enough or kind enough or caring enough or loving you at all, the truth is we have to let that person go and move on with our lives. But we also have to deal with the reality of how we feel in the here and now. As a hyper-romantic, my feelings do get the better of me. It's not easy when trying to deal with the sensible reality and the romance which overrides your senses and sensibilities. And that's how I got into this mess in the first place, of feeling more for him than I should. But to deny those feelings just makes them more intense for me. Admitting them, usually to the person, helps them to get depleted and watered down. Keeping them to myself just makes me feel it, just makes my feelings want to explode. Like a volcano of love overflowing with the rich, bubbly orange lava oozing itself or out all over the land around it. And then I feel I have so much love to give to the right guy that it's just bursting out for me. Out of me. The point being, he isn't the right guy for me. But then my brain says, or is he? So this is quotes from my Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual. And it's something I want to talk to you about because a lot of people, they don't think ahead. They think in the now, which is a good thing to think. They don't think ahead. I see so many people who are not wanting to, they want love. They want love. They want care. They want someone to value and treasure them forever. But yet when they've got someone in front of them, they eventually start taking that person for granted. And it's sad because when that happens, we can't stay with that person or in that friendship or in that acquaintance. And some people, they don't realize that in the future, their parents won't be around anymore. Their friends, a lot of them will be married and have kids of their own. So they need to be deciding what they really want. And if they do want to be in a relationship, then they need to take the steps to become good at being in a relationship with and value what they have in front of them. Having said this, because there are people in the world that aren't valuing what they've got, there are a lot of people that are avoidant, for example. Avoidant attachment style, just like an anxious attachment style and other insecure attachment styles, are got through childhood, usually childhood trauma or trauma in previous relationships. So a lot of the time it isn't the person's fault they're like that in the first place, but it is the person's responsibility to understand that about themselves and to try to change that if they want a serious, loving, long-term, committed, secure relationship. And so a lot of avoidant types of people will get close to someone or be getting close to someone and then be scared by that, be scared of the closeness, of the vulnerability, and then they will start to detach and pull away. And so this can be really hard in relationships because we can know the person is a really beautiful person, they're coming towards us, we're getting on really well, we're loving each other, or we're starting to really care about each other. Everything seems to be going well, and then all of a sudden, that person backs off. They become cold, they become more heartless, they become more distant, they become more into themselves than they were into you. So when I ask this question in the title, like, who is that person? Basically, that one person, if you could choose anyone. I want you to think about this very carefully because this is twofold. One is, if you could pick only one person to be at your deathbed, who would that be? Think about it. Like, is there someone you really love and someone you want to spend the rest of your life with? And if you can only have one person with you holding your hand when you die, who would that person be? Who is that person you really love and trust and respect and want to be with? And the other side of this is, if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't respect you, doesn't appreciate you, like I said in this book, we can't deal with the what if they become that person for you, or what if they were that person for you, but they no longer are. Because if you're on your deathbed with someone, that one person who means the world to you, but you don't mean the world to them, or they don't treat you like you're the world to them, that's going to be a very sad ending for you. So I want you to take time in your life to think about the ideal person you want for a relationship or meaningful friendship, or, a house buddy, flatmate, the one you want to spend forever with, if you do. And I want you to think about seriously, like, what person is going to actually be kind and caring towards me and look after me at the end. We don't know when the end is. People die in their 20s, people die in their 40s, people die in their 80s. People die younger than that, right? We don't know when our time's up. And I know this sounds a bit morbid, but I think it's important to think, what if I could only have one person at my bedside when I die? Who would I want that person to be? If there's someone that for a while you've admired and you've really grown to have feelings for, and you haven't told that person, and it's possible they may love you back, then I think you should tell that person, providing you can actually sustain a committed, consistent relationship with that person. If not, then I think you should move on or understand how to change that situation about yourself. I know a lot of people in cultures, for example, Indian culture, Pakistani culture, is very family driven, you know? But my point being is your family won't be there forever, right? So if your family's not going to be there forever, when they're gone, who do you want to be with? You know, if you want to be in a relationship with someone, who is that person? Who is that person that's going to be there and care about you and love you forever? I want you to think about that. Obviously, if you have kids, and if you come from a culture where you're expecting your kids to look after in your old age, well, you know, some cultures expect that. I personally don't think you should put that on any children. You know, I don't think you should hold any kids responsible for your old age. I don't personally think that's okay or right. I don't think you should have children just so they can look after you in your old age. But if you're a person who doesn't want children, you're not going to have any children of your own, then, especially if you're an only child, there is going to be no more generations. So who is the person that you choose to be with you? And we need to look for the character traits of a person that's going to be good for us, because all too often we're attracted to someone who may be very good looking or charismatic, or maybe very like charming, or maybe paying us a lot of attention in the moment. But if we're not with someone who genuinely cares about us, respects us, wants to know about us, wants to love us and be with us forever, then those last moments are not going to be good for us. I also want you to think about, what dreams do you have that you want to achieve in this life while you are alive to achieve them? I want you to think about this carefully, because the what if scenario is a what if about a person. Like, what if this person is the right person for you, but what if they're not? And what if by going after your dreams and what you really want, you get it? So maybe you have had a crush on someone for a number of years. Maybe you've loved someone for a number of years. Maybe you've got your eye on someone for a long time, right? Ask yourself the question, like, what would happen if I actually told them? I think it's better to tell a person how you feel about them and give them a chance to be with you in a relationship than it is to hold a torch for them for years and never even explore that avenue. Because you never know. They might have the same feelings back. And if they don't, you can then eventually just move the hell on to someone else who might love you and give you the love that you deserve. But we must be thinking, who is that one person on our deathbed? You know, if you're thinking about someone for a relationship, is that person going to be stable and strong for you and reliable and caring? Can you trust them to look after you? You know, if you get sick, any age can get sick. You know, it's not necessarily, if there's an age gap relationship, it's not necessarily the older person that's going to get sick. I've watched some age gap videos, age gap love videos on YouTube, and some of the couples there is actually the younger one that's got some like incurable disease or some illness, and the older person has to look after the younger person. So just because there's an age gap doesn't necessarily mean to say that the older person is the one that's going to get sick quickly or get something wrong with them that a younger person will have to take care of. It doesn't necessarily equate to that. So I want you to think, like, who's going to look after you? And it's not just about looking after someone physically. It's about who's going to look after your heart and not play with it and not play with your feelings and emotions. Something that does make me really angry is guys that play with women's feelings and emotions, right? Love is all about holding that other person's heart in your hands and within your soul, and cherishing it and nourishing it and loving it and seeing it as a beautiful thing and looking after it. It's not about getting some girl's heart and getting her hooked on you emotionally, so you're just after your own pleasure and your own satisfaction and getting what you can out of a girl. I think it's really disgusting when I see guys do this, and I see a lot of guys do this. You know, I see a lot of people actually in the whole of the life who is out for themselves, right? If I do something, I'm usually thinking about the other person. Like, oh, I'm loving the other person, I'm caring about the other person, I'm missing the other person. I'm not saying everything is to do with them, because obviously we've got to get pleasure for ourselves out of what we're doing as well. But I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? I really care about people. I care about people I meet, even if I don't know them that well as well, because that's in my nature to care about someone. And so we need to be thinking, you know, when we are choosing our person, if we're choosing just one person to spend the rest of our life with, are they going to be a good person for us to be with at the end? Or are they not? You know, and some guys, they do actually leave a good woman behind. They don't appreciate the person until that person's gone, and they look back years later and think, oh my God, I thought I would get someone better than that. I thought I would find someone I prefer to kiss. I'd find someone I prefer to be with. And some guys really do find someone, and some other guys don't. I know some guys who just pine after someone who they knew in college, for example. There's a reason why that woman moved on, right? You haven't solved the reason why she moved on yet, and you don't look within yourself, then you're not really going to help yourself to move forward in the future. But we must be thinking, like, okay, you know, sit with your own thoughts and think, you know, if I could be with just one person in the world at the end, who would I choose? Maybe it's just yourself. Maybe you don't need anyone else. After all, ourselves is the only one we definitely have, right? But if you could choose one other person, who would that be? You know, and like I said in this book, Diary Confessions book, you know, it's sometimes we have to separate what we feel for someone with who they really are in that moment. And what's one of the hardest things, if we've been in a relationship or friendship with someone for quite a long time, and all of a sudden things change, and you can feel that change, you can sense it, because their behavior and attitude's different. What they do is different. The way they text, or the frequency they text at, the tone they text at is different. And you can talk to them, but sometimes talking just doesn't work. And so you have to walk away. So we have to be thinking of these things, you know? We have to be thinking, you know, ask yourself, who do you want to be with at your deathbed when you die? If you could only pick one person, and who would that be? And it's you know, like I said, unfortunately, many guys don't see the value in a good woman. They don't. But if they don't understand good character traits, and they're looking more for an experience and fireworks and all this lot in feelings, then they're not going to recognize that and want to keep it. And if a person is avoidant type, as soon as the avoidant type of person gets close to another person, they then kind of like want to go away from that person, because it's too vulnerable for them. It's too much emotion for them. They can't handle it. But, you know, some people who are avoidant can change and improve themselves, and avoidants tend to push people away before maybe they think that you're going to split up with them. And instead of sorting out the problems and issues of why you want to split up with that person, if you do, they'll just avoid those hard conversations, avoid putting things right, and bolt. And, like, in terms of fight or flight, they'll like fight, flight, or flee. They'll flee the situation. So, you know, we have to be thinking about this. We have to be, even Matthew Hussey talks in his book and in the club I'm in, about we have to deal with the person we've got in front of us now. And I think the hardest thing is if you have had a person who you think's treated you really well and been super into you and super loving, and you see that, and then all of a sudden they're not like that anymore, that can be really discouraging. It can be very disorientating, and it can put you off dating and relationships, you know. And what I would say in those scenarios is, be careful with your heart and of letting new people in, but don't cut off your whole heart to everyone. You know, be willing to meet someone else again, because not everyone is like that. You know, some people genuinely value a person being in their life for the rest of their life. They look to be with that special person in a relationship because they value the security of being with that one person rather than going on multiple dates with multiple people, dating sites after dating sites, dating apps, and it just gives them a headache. And in the end, they're like, I'd rather work harder in a relationship with one person than I would to keep going around to multiple people. You know, not every woman is good either. Some women on the internet literally are just after sex. Some women on the internet who go on dating apps are literally after guys' money. I mean, when I was on dating apps actively, there was guys who actually put in their profile, I'm not interested in one night stands. I'm not interested in giving you money. Don't ask me for money. If you're going to ask me for money, I don't want to know. You know, if you just want to use me to take you places in my car, I don't want to know, you know? So it's not just guys who do this, but you know, when you're choosing the love of your life, when you're choosing someone for a long-term relationship, please think like, is this person someone who I'd want at the end of my life? No, is this person reliable? Are they trustworthy? Are they punctual? Are they someone who's kind and caring towards you? Are they someone who lifts you up to make you feel good? Are they someone who puts time, energy, and effort into being with you, understanding you, talking to you, asking you questions? Or are they just like going through the motions and like disinterested and not really there? Because that one person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, which may not be a romantic person, if you're not a romantic asexual, you might want someone who's like a flatmate or like a bestest ever friend to maybe live with you, for example. You know, ask yourself, who is that person? Is that person reliable? Are they trustworthy? Are they honest? Would you trust them with your life? Are they someone who you can grow with? Have they got a growth mindset? Are they growing themselves? Are they wanting to grow with you in the relationship? Are they valuing your intelligence? Are they valuing your wisdom? Are they valuing your knowledge? Are they valuing you as a person? Are they valuing your heart? Are they looking after your heart? Are they consistent in their communication? Are they consistently into you? Or do you find that you just doing the work? Now you're texting them more, you're wanting to see them more, you're driving the relationship forward, because we do have to deal with the here and now, not what was. And I think that's really difficult. But I'm saying this because I was in a relationship years ago, a long-term serious relationship, my last long-term relationship, which ended in 2011. You know, and unfortunately, that guy wasn't good in a lot of ways. Not sexually, he was good sexually, but every other way he wasn't good, which is weird, right? But I'm glad about that. So the sexual experience I have with him, because I did have sex with him in the past, then, you know, that was fine. That was a good experience. But everything else was not good. I say everything else was not good. Of course, I had some good times with him, but he was very, like, emotionally abusive and stuff like that. So we need to be looking at the qualities of the person with, and my last long-term ex, going back to 2011 when we split, you know, he wasn't a suitable guy for me to be in a relationship with, and he wasn't the right guy. Even though I loved him implicitly, he wasn't the right guy for me to be at the end of my life with, because it would have just been horrible had I continued in that relationship for longer. But I continued it longer than I should, because when I first got with him, he was really kind and caring. We used to be friends before we got into a relationship. And I always used to think he'd go back to the person he was. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been in a relationship or friendship where you're like, oh, this person was so kind and nice to me at the beginning, and now, you know, it seems like things have fizzled out and there's space between us and distance between us, and, you know, I don't know what to do anymore. And, you know, we do get to the end of our tether. We get to feel less of ourselves. We get to feel less worthy in life, because although we shouldn't value our worth on other people, of course that's going to impact us. If we cared so much about the person, we thought they equally cared about us, it's going to leave some sort of hole. It's going to leave some sort of dissidence and some sort of disconnection there. And so we have to look to reevaluate our situation, reevaluate our life, and think, what qualities do I want in a person? To be honest, being with an avoidant attachment style considering I'm an anxious attachment style, is one of the worst combinations. If you've got two avoiders, it's not the best combination in the world, but they're both avoiding certain things, so they're both kind of on the same wavelength. But if you've got an avoidant and an anxious attachment, it's really not good, because the anxious person wants reassurance, they want closeness, they want to see the person, they want to plan for the future, they want to like know what's happening. And the avoider would just be like, I want to avoid the situation, I want to avoid the conflict, I want to avoid talking about the future and stuff like that. Maybe not at first they don't, but when they get close. Devin Paul, being ficto-romantic, mine would be pre-writing change Molly Coddle from Bump in the Night if she really existed and her attitude, personality was dictated by the quality of her writing. Oh, I don't know that, but yeah, I know ficto-romantic as someone who's romantically attracted to fictional characters. So, but I don't know the character because I tend to read non-fiction, not fiction. So, but thank you for sharing, Devin. It's important you know that. But obviously, if someone, if you want someone physically there with you rather than a character, obviously I understand if you're ficto-romantic, you want to be with the love of your life, which is a fictitious character, but obviously we still need in-person contact and communication. And it's difficult these days because a lot of people, I feel like you can have a lot more friends online and people who genuinely care about you online than maybe offline in person. I find that I get more people interested in me and talking to me online, asking me questions about myself and stuff like that. Although I went to a Tech Exeter event recently, yesterday and last week, and they were really interested in me. I got on really well with them. Very intellectual conversation. Very appreciate my talents and skills and abilities. So yeah, it's good. I mean, if you want to be with a fictional character only rather than with an in-person person, then that's good that you know what you want. I would say that obviously it's nice to have someone there as well in person. There are people that I know that live with their mothers, for example, and that's good while their mother's still around. But what happens when their mother isn't around anymore? Do you know what I mean? Are they gonna think about being in a relationship with someone or not? Having a housemate or not? But who is that person that you want with you at the end? And I think that if you are approaching dating relationships like that as well, and you're thinking to yourself, like, the person I'm thinking about choosing, have they got the qualities that I'd like around me at the end of my life? Like, how are they going to be there, like, arguing with me when I'm sick and I'm dying? Or are they going to be there, like, like mopping my head with all the sweat or whatever, or giving me sips of water, or just holding my hand, or just cuddling me? What's going to happen? Like, what? I think it's a really good thing to think a matter of life or death, because I think it puts things into perspective for you a lot better, because it's like a matter of life or death. So you have to think in extremes, like, is this person actually going to be good for me? Or is this person just going to make my life miserable? And my ending's going to be miserable, and you might choose to just be single in the end. And if you are single, I hope that you are living your dreams. I hope that you're going for your goals, ambitions, and dreams, and you don't let anyone stop you. I hope that if you haven't got many friends or many people around you, or a possibility of someone for a relationship for you on the horizon, I hope that you are following your passions and your dreams, and that you are making everything happen for you, and that you are reaching in to your light, and that you'll shine it so bright in this world. Because if we end up being on our own at the end, let's make it a good on your own at the end. Let's make it an own it type of scenario. Let's make it, I own my life, I own my world, and I own what I do in it. And I have nothing and no one to stop me when I rely on me. That's a huge benefit of being single. So if you decide that it's just you on your own at the end, which it might well be anyway, because we don't always have a choice in that, I want you to be able to be at the end of your life being proud of who you are, proud of your character, proud of your heart, proud of who you are to other people, how well you treated them. Did you treat people with respect and dignity? Did you love even if others didn't love you? Did you care even if others didn't care about you? Were you present for people? Were you actively talking to people and taking an interest in them? Did you show up as your best self? Did you put yourself out there for others to see? And if others didn't see you, that's not your fault. But did you shine your light bright? Sometimes we shine our light so bright in life that sometimes we're around the wrong people who don't appreciate it because they've got such clouds within their heart and they cast a shadow over your beautiful light. And I wish that these people would leave your life actually, so that the clouds are hit by the silver lining and it parts those clouds away and it paves the way for you to live your best life. Because if someone's going to hold you back with their dark clouds and their misery, if someone's going to hold you back by putting you down and not believing you and not seeing your beauty, and people are going to just cast you aside and not even speak to you and not talk to you and not care about you, then I don't want them for you at the end of your life. I want you to be shining your light. I want you to have done everything you want to do in your life. I want you to lift yourself up. I want you to be the person that you were always born to be. I want you to go for your goals, your ambitions, and your dreams. I don't want you to do it trampling over other people, being careless with other people's heart and feelings. I want you to do it being your true, authentic self. Because when you achieve your goals, ambitions, and dreams with love in your heart, a caringness and kindness for other people, and it may take more work doing that. It may take more investment of time, energy, and effort. But when you achieve it and you know you've done it authentically and you can look yourself in the eye, in the mirror at the end of your life, and you say, I lived a good life and I was authentic and I cared about people and I gave it my best. I gave it my all and I'm here and I succeeded and I leave my legacy in the world, my imprint in the world, my own unique imprint, no one else's. I want you to know that you are unique and your difference is your beauty. And if others can't see the beauty in your difference, then maybe they're just not different enough. Maybe they're just not authentic enough. Maybe they're just going through the motions like a robot. Maybe they don't appreciate what's in front of them. But if you're there at the end of your life with just yourself, I pray for you that you have lived the best life for you. And this is why it's important to live your life for you. It's important to be progressing your life in what makes you happy, in what fulfills your dreams, and in what truly satisfies you. But it's good to also be in service to others and help others while you're alive, so you can look back and think, I feel good about me. So think about the one person that you want at the end of your life. And if you're in a relationship now, ask yourself, is that the person you want to be with at the end? Because if it's not, don't waste your time, energy, and effort on someone who doesn't want to be there for you in those circumstances. Like it says in my Diary Confessions book, I'll repeat it. Ask yourself, who do you want to be with at your deathbed when you die? If you could pick only one person, who would that be? Now, if you have someone in your life who treats you with love, kindness, caringness, respect, don't just push them away and screw away their heart. Think, are they the type of person that's going to be with me till the end and truly love me for who I am? rather than the person over there that might just look prettier or more handsome. Grab yourself a copy of Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual, 78 Life Lessons to Ace Your Life on Amazon. This is a bestseller. And also grab a copy of Asexual Perspectives to know more about asexuality. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Thanks to Devon Paul for being in chat tonight and everyone else who's watched. And I'll see you soon next for your live stream. Subscribe and hit the bell icon now. Thumbs up. Lots of love. Bye.